Watch the video all the way through. Later in the video, I'll be talking about the different blow-off top target levels. So watch the video all the way through so you don't miss those levels. Again, my signals remain bullish, but I'm trying to flip down with that wild swing we had when we moved above 100,000. Now we're getting back above 100,000. Again, I still think we're going to see triple diversions develop on things like the RSI or right here with momentum, and other indicators I think could form it as well. The MACD can form a divergence. All of those charts, if you watch the video all the way through. But again, found support here at the lower end of the cloud. Key horizontal support. Look at that right there. This level right here and this level right here acted as support, and we bounced. The warning signs over here gave us the 9% sell-off. Momentum is now bullish. The trend remains bullish, and again, still go higher up to some of the target levels I'm talking about. Getting bigger volatility, bigger than the 9% sell-off that we had over here. This line represents momentum. It is the impulse line. It remains bullish. The bars remain bullish. Getting some X's here that to be on the lookout for a possible top, but also be because we're going sideways with the triangle, and now we've had a breakout and back test of it. So again, we'll be watching if the advance can resume. Again, as I've said, I think we will end up forming a divergence or triple divergence on things like momentum and the RSI and other indicators. After the 52,000 low, we saw the cloud turn back to bullish, pull back, and it's been acting as support ever since here, consistently green and positive territory. Had a little bit of it here. We dropped below it, but then we got a bottoming tail, got right back above it there in October. It's been acting as support ever since we got back above it. We continue to have the green going on cloud. Being confirmed by the oscillator remaining in positive territory. Bitcoin ends up topping out and starts a reversal or starts a pullback. We would end up dropping back below this level, but we can go higher, and the lower end of the cloud can rise, currently at 89,000. Again, my signals remain bullish for Bitcoin. Now we saw that triangle develop, and we saw signals go from bearish to bullish, back and forth, and now back to bullish here again. Momentum line and the little arrow again suggesting we are in a sideways consolidation. I think that's now been proven correct with the breakout and back test of the triangle, which we can really clearly see on the 4-hour chart, which I'll show you in this video. We're getting the gray shaded area telling us that a squeeze move is coming, much like what we had over here before this move right here, this move right here, and this move right here down. So the couple upward movements, the one downward movement there, and the more recent price action here, we're getting it again, telling us that a short squeeze is likely going to take place. That could take us up to that 10, 15,000 area, the upper end of the channel. You'll see the channel I'm talking about if you watch the video all the way through. Balance of power remains positive. The momentum line flipped back to blue. The arrow showed up, and again, momentum remains bullish. We went sideways, getting green and red bars, really showing that consolidation, sideways consolidation in the triangle. But now momentum bars are back to green. The momentum line is green and or blue. Be watching, can we clear the high at the 104,000 area, just under 104,000 from the December 5th Thursday session? And if we can do that, we can go up to the upper end of the channel or the trend line on the linear scaling. I'll show you both in this video. Blow off top levels I'm looking at for Bitcoin. Could complete a blow off top at some of these levels, get a pullback, completes a blow off top, then you're looking at a potential reversal ahead of the recession. It's likely going to start by April, probably in the first quarter, but we could get it early in the second quarter in April. Bitcoin can go a whole lot higher. The recession hits, it's going to be bad for Bitcoin. Just ahead of it hitting, Bitcoin could top out. So do keep that in mind. Let me just show you a few of my indicators. Again, the cloud remains bullish. Had a couple of pullbacks, minor pullbacks. Signals have been consistently bullish since 52,000. And again, we got into positive territory with oscillators. here at the 50 and the 100 pullback. They briefly turned bearish and then again have been consistently bullish. We've seen the same thing with the RSI, by the way, some of my other oscillators. I think we're going to form a triple divergence. We had a little divergence here, give us that 9% sell-off. I think we're going to see a larger divergence develop here and again, possibly make it up to that upper channel line. And I've been talking about a target level of 110 to 115,000 upper channel line, which you'll see in this video. We also have that linear trend line, which is a little bit lower. We could even overthrow that and reach the upper trend line and close back below the linear trend line. But again, I'm looking for triple divergences to develop on a lot of my indicators, which I think is likely going to be the case. Again, signals have been consistently bullish since the 52,000 low in the daily time frame. And when we turned off of that, again, we saw trend signals turn back to bullish right after that 53,000 area. Here we have signals being bullish consistently ahead of the breakout. And again, with the breakout and backtest that we had over here, clearing of the 69,000 area. But just want to show you a lot of my Bitcoin charts. I don't always get a chance to show you all of my charts, but I'm just trying to show you again, signals have been consistently bullish. I'm looking for triple divergences on my oscillators to develop. Again, signals consistently bullish from the 52,000 low, turning up right here, getting a little bit of pullback. This is where we pull back to that 50 and the 100 period moving average and then resuming. Again, a little bit of a pullback here, but again, consistently bullish. We would have to drop below the 96,000 area, stay below it. We did do that with this wild swing when we got above 100,000 and pulled back 11% sell off from the high. We didn't stay there, and now we're back above 100,000. So as long as 96,000 holds, then again, we could go up to the upper channel line, which you'll see in the video. The green line is looking at the longer term trend right here for the swing move, and the momentum is the blue and the red line. And again, my weekly signals remain bullish as well. Momentum and for the trend. Bulls are in control. In the daily time frame, Bitcoin might form a 13 countdown sell signal. We're up to bar 9 right here. If the advance can continue to the upper boundary of the channel in the weekly time frame. We had a 13.9 right here, but we really only went sideways, went a little bit higher, and then got that 9% corrective move. So it gave us a sideways move followed by a 9% correction, but we're likely getting a trend extension. We got bar 9 of 13. Bars do not have to be consistently consecutive. There can be breaks as the count develops. Every bar has to be above the bar from 2 bars ago. Currently we have bar 9 right here, so I'll be watching. And again, a lot of chop. These counts above have started 9 counts upward and then downward with the green, and they did not play out. We've just had a lot of chop as we've formed that triangle. A possible 13 breakout of the triangle. We're currently on a bar 2 of a 9, so just some things to be paying attention to. Do we end up seeing another 13.9 develop near the upper channel line on that weekly chart here in the daily time frame? Again, you'll see the channel if you watch the video all the way through. Don't forget, Bitcoin got a 9 count weekly time frame already. I told you we can get the 9 count and you could start to turn. We hit the 9 count and we hit the trend line of resistance, 2021 low. You'll see that in the video if you watch it all the way through. But again, I told you we can go higher. We have gone higher, but we may even go higher. And again, sometimes you get a 9 count and you go higher and then you get the turn. It is showing price exhaustion, and that doesn't mean that the rally is over, but it's just saying prices are starting to get tired and they may start to tucker out around some of the blow off top resistance levels that I'm going to be showing you in this video. You support the channel with the link directly below that allows me to be able to provide you this information. If you like the charts, you like the indicators, let me know that by supporting the channel. I don't have any sponsors, just a direct relationship with you. I want to send you to exchanges where they get you all leveraged up to try to wipe you out. Please consider helping out today by following the link below. It'll take you to a secured site and you can donate any amount you want. Thank you for your consideration for that. Bitcoin, here we have momentum bullish, but again, you got to get it back above this cloud right here if we're going to go higher. Right here with the 9% sell-off, we ended up flipping the ribbon. Sideways movement with the triangle eventually took us back below the lower end of the cloud. which has now become the upper end of the cloud. So we got to be able to clear that upper end of the cloud if the advance is to resume on Bitcoin. It means clearing these previous peaks that have formed right here. Some of my other indicators, critical mass remains bullish. Here, again, looking at the longer term moves, back to bullish here. Again, we'd have to drop back below the blue line, below it for a reversal to happen. It won't mark a top on Bitcoin or a bottom, but it will mark a reversal point defining the trend. A clear VWAP support here at the 90,000 area, and again, the horizontal support level between 90,000 and 95,000 right here. As long as that holds, we can go higher. We start coming back down and taking out, 91,000, 90,000, then Bitcoin would be in trouble. Bitcoin remains in a risk-on environment. As it's forming that divergence, we're also seeing a very similar thing with risk-on. It probably isn't done yet. It will probably diverge with Bitcoin. Risk line is bullish. We're in risk on, and the Bitcoin trend is positive. Signals remain bullish. Here, the cloud has acted as support along with the 20-period moving average. Push below it with that wild swing we had when Bitcoin broke above 100,000, couldn't stay below it. So again, going to be watching to see if we try to go and push above the upper Bollinger Band on a closing basis and move towards the upper channel line. Make sure you watch the video all the way through. You'll see it. Again, as we are pushing above 100,000 again, we're seeing other divergences try to develop. So I'll be watching the resistance levels that I'll be showing you in this video directly overhead. Here we have momentum bullish, and the trend remains bullish. I'll show you some of my other indicators. Watch, I don't always get a chance to show you. Recently, I did that with the weekly charts. I wanted to do it with the daily charts. Okay, we are in the Saturday session for Bitcoin. We have just under 5 hours left in the session, and Bitcoin right now is up about 0.25% in the daily time frame. We've had the breakout and the backtest of our triangle. Again, I told you as I was making a video on December 4th talking about the bounce off of the 20-period moving average, talking about this triangle. The triangle began to break out on December 4th. I was making the video, and I talked about how we corrected 9%. We bounced here above the 20-period moving average, did it again over here, did it again over here on that December 4th breakout. We saw the violent move back and forth. We had a big move up of 5%, nearly 5% right there, up here, got a topping tail, and dropped back down and took out the lows over here and went back to the support. Now this support we hit, again, goes back to these lows over here. The 9% sell-off goes back to these highs over here, excluding the shadow. This is key support, and look what we did. We bounced right off of that level. So again, technical support holding here at this high 91,000 area, below 92,000, and then we rebounded back up, got back above the 10 and 20, and then push back up. You can see it a little bit better on the intraday charts. I'll show you that in a second, but we moved up 5% here, and then we dropped down from that high just over 11%, and then we rebounded back up. Now we're here, going to move back above 100,000, and what I talked about in my last update, I believe is a backtest move, and I think that this was just a shakeout move, but you start seeing the volatility like this come to an end of a move. I still think, again, levels I've been talking about are potentially going to be reached, and I do think we have a breakout and backtest of our triangle. Again, my signals remain bullish. The bulls are in control. Control in the weekly time frame. They're in control in the daily time frame. You see momentum flip back down, and again, it couldn't do it. We have what looks to be a successful breakout and backtest of the triangle. If we have it, again, Bitcoin can go up to these other target levels I've been talking about, which I think is a very, very likely scenario for Bitcoin. We're talking about this bull market into 2025 and 2026. Again, it's real hard for that to happen with the recession. but Bitcoin can go higher. Had what looks to be a legitimate breakout of the triangle, just like we had a legitimate back test of the trading range back over here. Again, we had the breakout of this trend line right here. We broke out of it. We went up to overhead resistance. We stalled. I talked about that. I told you we were going to get a pullback, but then we were going to go and make a new all-time high. And then I told you to watch 77, 78,000. If you can clear that, you can go a whole lot higher. It was just about 4,000, 5,000 above this peak right here. We had a legitimate breakout back test. We overthrew it. We came back into it, but then again, turning higher. Here you can see our triangle right here as we zoom out. So again, I think we've had a breakout and back test here, just with some volatility, but very similar to the breakout and back test here of the trend line. Signals remain bullish. I think we've had this breakout. I think that this violent move back down was a back test. I think we had a shakeout move right here, and I think we're going to try to get above this area right here. And we have that upward channel line. I'll show you the 4-hour chart real fast on this triangle before I show you the channel. And signals remain bullish. We can still see Bitcoin go higher in the near term, but then it's at risk of getting a pullback, some kind of pullback, bigger pullback than this 9% that we saw over here, a bigger pullback or a possible reversal. But again, the signals right now remain bullish. The bulls are in control. My signals are bullish. Now, the breakout and backtest has probably seen better here in the 4-hour time frame than on the daily chart, because you can really see what happened here. We broke this trend line, broke out, went above 100,000, and then we had this violent push down. But look at the bottoming tail here in the hour time frame. We pushed back into triangle, but then again came back. We closed that bar, the 4-hour bar, at the 50-period moving average and bounced off the 50-period moving average, bounced off the cloud here. So again, important technical level. So I think that this was just a shakeout move. We held above the 200-period moving average here in the 4-hour time frame. And again, I think you're going to form this triple divergence in the weekly, or I'm sorry, in the daily time frame there on the RSI. And again, I think you can form a divergence right here in the 4-hour time frame as well. Maybe even a triple divergence. We'll see how it unfolds. But right now, you're watching as we go into the inflation data next week. Now, we got the jobs report. Came in strong. I did a whole video about the jobs report and the fake numbers. And again, there's huge red flags with this stuff. We're getting constant revisions. The numbers are just, overinflated and then revised down later. One thing we can see from the jobs report is the deterioration in the labor market over time. We're seeing fewer jobs created, and I talk about the different discrepancies. Watch that video. It will explain why the recession is right around the corner. If we get the recession, Bitcoin is going to price it in along with the stock market. It's the risk right now, and that's why everybody's saying, oh no, we're going to keep going, have this bull market to 2025 and 2026. It'd be hard for Bitcoin to do that. Could have a shorter bull run here, but that before the breakout ever happened. If we go up to some trend lines now done, 2 peaks there from 2021. The problem is this recession business, and again, people don't want to even consider that as a possibility. People just dismiss it. That is making the same mistakes they made in 2007, right before the recession showed up. We're going to get the inflation data. I expect the inflation data is going to go a whole lot higher. Well then we get less rate cuts. No, we're probably going to get jumbo cuts because the Fed is focusing on inflation rather than the recession. Even when the recession was higher than it was in 2007, the Fed still did jumbo cuts. This recession had already begun, and the Fed was blindsided to it showing up. Could see some volatility next week surrounding the inflation data with Bitcoin, which I expect is going to tick up higher. The narrative is, we're going to get less cuts out of the Fed, have some volatility with that, but eventually the recession is going to show up. And we have the Fed meeting the week after that, about a week and a half from right now, on the 18th. And again, as long as we hold above this 200 period in the 4-hour time frame, Bitcoin can go a whole lot higher. Here's the breakout back test, and then we've had the surge now, a continuation pattern, which again, I believe is a breakout and back test. So again, we'll be watching. Do we get a divergence here in the more recent price action? Do we get a larger divergence with the peak over here, which is going to likely be the case? Peak over here with the MACD. Do we get another divergence over here, another reference point? This divergence gave us the 9% sell-off. This divergence could produce a bigger sell-off or a reversal for Bitcoin. So again, I expect Bitcoin's going to set up a divergence right here, okay? And then I think that Bitcoin could make it to our upper channel line that I've talked about, or the trend line from 2017. I've been talking about both of them. I'll show you those. But again, be watching for another reference point of a divergence here in the recent price action, and this multiple point larger divergence here on the MACD and the RSI in our 4-hour time frame with Bitcoin. I think that's going to set up a triple divergence here on Pring Parameter. Pring Parameter had this divergence. It gave us a 9% sell-off. I think we're going to come back up here. I think we'll reach some of these other levels in all likelihood. And then I think you're going to get this divergence that develops, triple divergence, that will give us either a bigger pullback in the larger bull market or a reversal. The rally comes to a conclusion. We'll be looking for clues. Still in positive territory with Pring Parameter. The divergence only gave us a pullback. We corrected sideways. And now, again, I think we're going to turn back up and see these larger multiple point divergences begin to develop here in the 4-hour time frame. My signals remain bullish. We're bouncing off that 50 period. We breached it, but then bounced off of it. And I think we have a legitimate breakout to our triangle for Bitcoin. Signals remain bullish in the 4-hour time frame. Now, a couple of things I've been talking about. The RSI, I'm looking for that triple divergence in all likelihood to develop. Well, Bitcoin is moving higher on a closing basis right here, right now, okay? The recent price action, we didn't do it. We didn't do it 3 sessions ago when we broke above 100,000. We're trying to do it right now, and we are above 100,000 at the moment. So again, we have this push above this 99,000 area. I don't think the divergence is done. I think we'll end up pushing up a little bit more here on the RSI, but I do think that a bearish triple divergence is likely going to form here, and with momentum. So again, just some things to be paying attention to. Notice when we down at the 52, 53,000 area, we got above the momentum cloud here, the green cloud. We pulled back to the 50 and the 100. The pink line is the 100. The 50 is a green line. I talked about that. I talked about going higher to test this trend line. And again, we came to just under this level right here. I told you eventually we're going to break out here because, again, we moved above the resistance zone over here, that 70, 71,000 area. We moved up to 73,000, just a couple $100 under this level. And again, I told you, as we cleared the resistance zone, we'll go higher. But look what happened. Again, we bounced up the 50, we bounced up the 100, back above the cloud after breaking below it, and back above the 10 or 20 period moving average. The 10 got back above the 20, and we've been finding support at the cloud. We slightly breached it here and the 10 and 20, but got right back above it. Found support here at the 20, found support here. Tried to breach it intraday with that 11% sell-off from the high, but we didn't close there. So again, the cloud continues to hold, the momentum cloud. The 20 period continues to hold. And again, the triangle that we've had this breakout and back test, and we could even take the lower boundary from back over here and look at the lower boundary right here. These lows right here matching up right there with that, the trend line right there from these previous lows. So again, I think Bitcoin has a legitimate breakout. I think that it's likely going to form this triple divergence here. And then again, we can go up to the upper channel line that I've talked about. And notice the RSI. The RSI, when we bottomed out at 52,000, eventually the RSI moved back above the 20, the blue line, then stalled at the 50, pulled back to the 20, bounced, and got back above the 50. But when we got back above that 20 period moving average, we saw the RSI move back into the positive region. When we pull back to the 20 period, to the 50 period here, and the 100 period moving average. We dipped into negative territory briefly below 50 there, and then we bounced off of those levels right there and got back above the 20, and again the advance resumed. The RSI back above 50, bouncing off of the 50 period moving average, back testing it, and then getting back above the 20 period at 2050 signal, bullish signal. And notice again, we've been positive. We did pull back right here to the 50 level and slightly breached the 20 period moving average, held above the 50. But notice that the RSI has been consistently holding above the 50 level here ever since we bounced up that 100 period moving average. So I think you're going to get your diversions, and then I think that we'll either get a correction or a reversal. There's risk of reversal because of a coming recession point, but I'm going to be watching if we take out the 20 period and the momentum cloud and we start seeing the RSI drop below 50, once a triple divergence completes here. I don't think it's done, although again, like I said, we're getting trying to get a new closing high right here. I don't think it's quite done yet, and again, we can go up to that upper channel line, which been talking about quite a bit. So again, a beautiful thing here on the RSI. I told you right here, we're looking for a divergence that looks much like this right here. But I told you I thought we'd get, because we have the 9% sell-off and we formed the triangle, I thought we'd get a triple divergence in all likelihood. Talking about that even before the triangle, and now we're getting it. I don't think it's done. And again, the MACD could turn back up. It could turn back up and form a divergence in and of itself right here. We could see something like that develop. So keep that in mind here in the daily time frame. And I'm looking at a couple of different trend lines for a potential target for a blow off top. Bitcoin's had a big move, very short amount of time. And again, looking at some of these areas, currently we're right here at the trend lines. We overthrew this one from our 2021 peaks right here, and we've gotten up above it and moved to this trend line where I've connected the 2021 low and the higher lows that developed here in the first part of 2022, excluding the shadows. And we've come right up and we're stalling right there. We got above it. We broke above 100,000, went to 104,000. Now we're just below it. I'm watching to see how we close. Right now we're up 3.10% for the week. Remain above the 10-week moving average. The 10 is above the 20, the blue line there. The 10 is the red, and we've bounced off the 50-week moving average. We talked about that back at the time when we hit 49,000, when we hit 50,000. They're bouncing off of those levels, 49,000, 52,000, pardon me. This is an area I'm looking at. Do we stall right here, or do we clear this? Now, if we clear this, we have a channel directly overhead. We could likely reach that channel and form a triple divergence on the RSI in the daily time frame. My complete divergence is in the weekly time frame on the Bitcoin indicators. I'm looking at two channels, and the red one right here includes the shadows here at this low here in 2023, our 2023 low, and I'm just drawing a parallel boundary to this high right here, including the shadow. And again, both channels take us to the exact same place, near that 110, 115,000 area, on when we come into contact with it. And then again, the black trend line, I've excluded the shadows ever so slightly, and again, drawing a parallel boundary with the highs over here, and excluding the shadow right here, the highs right here, and again, takes us pretty much to that same area. But again, I'm looking at this level, should we exceed the trend line right here from these lows. These lows could be pointing to the next high if we start a reversal, not being able to clear that trend line. But if we clear it, we could reach this upper channel line and stall the advance. Now again, that could take us here to the 110 to 115,000 area, as high as 120 if we took our time reaching it. But again, just a trend line I'm looking at here directly overhead. That's a channel I'm paying close attention to, because we get a lot of these channels on Bitcoin. This is the Bitcoin price here back several years to 2017, the 2017 top. You get a lot of these channels going on. some of the smaller channels and they evolve into the bigger channels, we could take this all the way back. So again, do we go towards this upper channel line and clear that trend line that we're currently stowing at? 2021 low, I just showed it to you. Do we go above that trend line and do we move towards this one right here? Again, that could take us as high as 115,000 or just underneath it. An important trend line that I am watching on the Bitcoin price. Now what's interesting is while we're at those current trend lines, the trend line again from the lows over here in 2021 and 2022, excluding the shadows, while we're at this area, in the weekly time frame, we don't have a distribution signal yet like we had over here when we had peaked in March. Right after that in April we got it. Later on with these other sell-offs, we got the distribution signals. We don't have that right now. We've had the accumulation signal at the 52,000 area, and that signal has remained. There's accumulation and distribution for Bitcoin. And that's why I think we very well could reach this upper boundary of this channel. And again, we could go to 115,000 or just under it there, at 11, 12, 13, somewhere between 110, 115. If we take our time, again, 120. But again, we saw over here at this peak, we saw distribution, clear distribution with the reversal. Now, again, we started to get a significant sell-off when it started showing up, and then with the topping tail, it showed up. Here, we had warning signs of distribution. We don't have that yet, so I think we've still got a pretty good shot of reaching this upper channel line here for Bitcoin. So on an accumulation signal that has not yet been canceled out. In the weekly time frame, there is no distribution yet, so we could still go higher. Now, that doesn't mean it won't show up. If we start to reverse off the trend line, as I mentioned right here, we start to see price stall out right here. We could see a sign of distribution, but I think we're going to climb up towards this area or towards the trend line in the linear time frame that I also have been talking about. We stall at the trend line from the lows over here, or if we make it up to this one, or even the trend line with the linear scaling a little bit lower than this channel line right here, I'll be looking for any signs of distribution, any signs of signals or momentum turning back to bearish. This could be a area where Bitcoin could rise to and stall out. I've talked about that 110 to 115,000 area. If we reach it immediately, I talked about 110. We're taking a little bit of time here over the last couple of weeks, so it's more like 111 to 115 or so. And if we take more time, maybe as high as 120,000. The trend line, the further right you go to the chart, the higher it goes. And again, we've kind of gone sideways. And again, that could take us closer towards the 115,000 area or just underneath it. Live it, love it, learn it. I've talked about the linear trend line as well. This is a linear trend line from the 2017 high over here. The linear trend line connected to the 2021 peaks. Now here I've excluded the shadows and then connected the shadow with the 2021 high. They're in November at 69,000. And again, that trend line takes us directly overhead. If we hit it immediately, you're looking at about 106, 107,000. If we take time to reach it, then again, you're looking at 108, 109,000. Again, the further right you go to the chart, the higher it goes. If we overthrow it, and we may, you can hit that upper channel line in the weekly time frame. The channel line I've just been showing you on the log scaling. And you could overthrow this and still even close back below this trend line. But an important trend line that I'm watching. People use the linear scaling here. Other people use log scaling. I use both. I find helpful information with both. But I wanted to show you these trend lines because these are the trend lines that I'm looking at for a potential blow-off top here between 106 and 109,000, maybe a little bit higher. The upper channel line between that 110, 115,000 area I've talked about. Bitcoin can clear this trend line right here from the lows back over here. Then this upper channel line then comes into play directly overhead. And again, somewhere between that maybe 110, 115,000. It looks more like, though, from going sideways with the triangle, and now the triangle breakout, that maybe 111,000 to 115,000 or so.